Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today I just wanted to give you guys a channel update and just kind of let you know why I've been really inconsistent this week, and just to announce that I am coming back. Um, it'll maybe either be tonight, possibly. This is July 15th, for those of you watching in the future, 2023. Um, I could be coming back tonight. It's possible maybe tomorrow night, depending on um, how I'm feeling. I think I'll probably be able to come back on tonight, and then I'm going to start releasing some Warhammer possibly tonight, but definitely tomorrow. I do have a new Snitch campaign. I haven't been keeping up with the news, so I know there's a new DLC coming out at some point with Warhammer, and I'll obviously cover that as soon as I get a chance. But I think we'll have time to get the Snitch campaign in there, and it is very interesting. It's really fun. I've already done probably about 5 episodes. I usually like to do maybe 5 to 10 episodes, um, just to make sure that it's going to be a high quality campaign and I don't just get wiped out, which does happen from time to time early on, or make like a really big mistake, that kind of thing. So, anyways, the content is coming back. I am, maybe tomorrow I'll do a big stream for you guys, or maybe not big, by old school standards, but by today, maybe I can stream for 4 hours or something tomorrow. We'll see. Um, try to get back to Diamond on my main account. We're Platinum 198 LP after the decay, and I know the cutoff's coming very soon. And then we'll play some with Jason and see if we can get back into Platinum on the Smurf account. So we'll be playing a lot more League. I will do, lots of fresh tier lists, and all of that stuff. I know I've been saying that, but I really am going to try to start doing that, giving you guys some more of that content. And make it, I'm really, really going to try to do 15 to 30 minutes, on some of this content. Trying to get as close to 15 as I can, just to make it a little easier to watch for everybody. Okay, so that's the TLDR. If you want the details of why I've been missing, I'm going to give you guys a little bit now. Just kind of a warning. I'm going to try to hold it together, but I might be a little emotional with it, so I apologize. But Sadie passed away today, and God, I thought I'd be able to hold it together. I'm sorry, guys. But I've been really struggling with that this week, and so that's why I haven't been on. And so I just figured I'd tell you guys a little bit of the story here, and then show some old pictures. I picked out some of my favorites. My wife and I went through, and even if I know you guys don't know Sadie very well, she did show up on the stream sometimes. But if you're an animal lover, you'll probably like it. But even if you're not really a cat person, there are some old pictures of me and old pictures of Sandra. So that's kind of bonus content, as you can see us when we were a lot younger. If you've ever just been kind of interested in what did they look like when they were in their 20s or 30s or whatever. So you'll get to see some of that too. So if you're a long time viewer of the stream, and I know most people, probably aren't, and that's totally okay. Again, if you guys don't want to hear a couple of sad things, but mostly positive, celebration of life stuff, then I don't blame you at all if you just wanted to hear what the schedule's like. But I'm coming back, and I'm going to try to be, a lot more content for you moving forward, because this, situation is mostly past. We're just dealing with the aftermath now. But sort of the TLDR of Sadie is she's had some deteriorating health issues, hyperthyroidism for about 6 years. She's 17 when she passed away today. And so she lived a long, full life, mostly really high quality. But I think really the last month or two, just a lot of her functionality has been sort of going, and then I'll spare you guys a lot of the details, but just to not make it too graphic. But basically, last Tuesday, I came home and found her, and I guess it's not too graphic, but she was basically paralyzed in her back two legs, and like just trying to scoot herself around in the basement. It was very sad, and that was a lot of it. And then she had a bunch of other health things going on too, so it looked like she was suffering some pretty bad quality of life. But but she had not imminently passed away, and I've never had to make the choice of it was basically guaranteed that her time was coming relatively soon. She had like 6 different terminal things when we took her to the vet that were going on, and there's no way you could cure them all, and some of them were mutually exclusive. If you cured one, it would make the other one worse, and she had like 0 room for error. So the time was near. There was no amount of money, no amount of anything of medical expertise that was going to be able to fix her. And so it really just became a question of hospice, which is basically just keep her at my house, just let her decline, try to keep her comfortable, get her some medications, and try to make her life as quality of life as much as possible, as high as possible, or just euthanize and give her, a peaceful finish, basically immediately. And sorry guys, give me a sweet second. Okay. So we decided just to go for the peaceful ending today, and it was really hard to let her go. I have a hard time because I'm always just thinking, well, maybe there's a chance. I'm just such an optimist and a dreamer, and I'm like, well, if we can take care of her, I'll do everything I can. Just throw money at her as much as I can and just try to give her the best quality of life possible. And, maybe we can have a few, good moments for like at least a week or something. But after talking with a bunch of people and then going and seeing her today for the last time when I had kind of made my decision, she was gone, basically. She was like 1% of where she was. It's like physically, she could, barely lift her head up. And she was just like, she kind of knew it was us, but mentally she was totally checked out. And we just decided that, I decided basically that I was just trying to do it for me because I just couldn't let her go. But really, for her, that was what we needed to do. Sorry, I've almost got it together. We're gonna get to happy stuff. Damn it, we're getting to happy stuff. I hate being a bummer. You guys know me. And I always try to be positive. Occasionally I get tilted, especially a few years ago. But for the most part, I always try to be positive. Never bring you guys sad or bummer news. And to be honest, this might be the first time that I've really cried since we lost her. And I thought that Sadie was dead 9 years ago. If you guys remember that on the channel. I don't remember no, that was before the channel. Never mind. So that was Sadie and Deuce. I do not cry a lot. I'm a very, I'm a compassionate guy, but I can usually hold it together and be stoic, and just be strong for everybody else. But for some reason, man, I just really love this cat. And, I feel like it's, kind of childish, and I should be able to get over it. And it's like I'm pushing 40 soon, and, but it's just like if you really love somebody, it doesn't matter what the age is, even if it's an animal. So, anyways, but on to happy things to some extent. So, what I decided to do to try to make it, to help me out, but also kind of help the family out, especially the kids with this transition. I told them that she was sick in the hospital and that we were going to go cheer her up. And so we all dressed up. I'm still dressed up from it. And we showed up, and I brought her a bag of her favorite treats, and freshly opened out of a new box, had that fresh treat smell that she really loved. Those little, if you guys know cats or whatever, I forgot what they're called, like Friskies. They've got like the little kind of almost like cream or something on the inside, but it's crunchy on the outside. So she really loved those, and I fed her those almost exclusively for 6 years. It was a lot more money, but she was basically eating dessert pretty much every meal, and we needed to give her some weight, so it worked out well. That was how we got her to eat, was just basically give her these, overpriced treats, just to, try to let her live a little, in her twilight years. And they had said she wasn't going to make it past 2016, so she got 7 years past what the original vet said with this main disorder. And it was really a combination of other things that ultimately got her. So she was very resilient, had a great life, great quality of life until this week. She was great. But so we went in there, and we took photos of it, but I didn't, I just haven't uploaded those yet. But we went in there dressed up. She came out. They brought her out, in this nice like fur blanket. It was a really good vet. They were very compassionate. It was great. And then we started petting her, and she was purring, and she recognized us for a little bit. She couldn't really turn her head that much, but she knew we were there. And Rory got to feed her a few treats. She only ate maybe like 5, and then was kind of disinterested after that, because presumably she was in so much pain, and her mental wasn't really there. And seeing her like that really sucked, but for me it helped just clarify my decision, that I made the right decision. Like, there's no way it was going to be ethical to force her to live out whatever spare change that she has in her life at the end, and live like that. It was just not really living at all. So it was really sad, but it helped me just really give me that closure that yes, this is the right call, like 200%. There's no way hospice care would have been ethical at all. Would have been bad for everybody. And just me seeing her like that, I don't want to see that. Like, she don't want to feel that. I don't want to see that. Kids don't want to see that. Like, nobody wants to go through that. And so we gave her the treats. I brought her a little twisty tie, which is one of her favorite toys. She wasn't interested in that, unfortunately. But it was there. And then we took a bunch of pictures with her. Rory, it was her idea to bring a little stuffed animal to try to cheer her up. Sadie didn't care about the stuffed animal, but Rory really liked sharing that with her. And we got to just, for maybe 10 minutes or so, everyone's just sitting there petting her, trying to give her treats, just lots of high, positive energy, and she was soaking it in, and she loved it. And then the kids left the room, and then I was there with her, just kind of holding her paw and petting her, and she was still kind of purring a little bit when they did they did a sleep shot and then a business shot. And so I was there for the sleep. So her last memory was me holding her paw and her purring, and us just kind of shared a moment. And then they took her away and did the business shot and did the rest of it. And then I decided we would, spread her ashes on our property, near some trees. And, she still had some open treat boxes and stuff. And I figured I'd just throw some treats out there and stuff too. And it just, a lot of that's just so silly. It's like superstitious and stuff. And I don't think it does anything, but just like making it like, just ritualizing it for me, just added a really nice like narrative to it, right? Even if it's like fictitious, like I don't think she's gonna eat those treats in the afterlife or anything. Maybe she does, who knows? But that's where through this process I've really learned that trying to just have that good like myth or just story structure, just that ritual of it, um, just adds a lot of poetry. It just adds a lot of extra um, feeling and just kind of inspiration and thought behind it. In my opinion, that helped me a lot into making it into something that was, kind of almost beautiful in a way that can seem pretty grim otherwise. So, anyways, maybe a TLDR, but that was my process. That's what I was going through. And, for the last 4 days, I've only been probably averaging 3 or 4 hours of not like a night of sleep. And I've just been in a terrible mental state and physically just kind of declining. I haven't been eating that much. It was bad. And, I think of myself as a really strong mental person too. To some extent, usually I can reason my way through a lot of stuff and just, I've got all these narratives I can tell myself and I can just work through a lot of things. But this again was so hard because it just felt, for me, a basic premise, that drives me is like more life is good. Like, that's what it is. And I just really struggled with saying, hey, I might be cutting short a potential. Like, what if she does have some of these magical moments and things like that? And it really, and I think my wife said it well, is you're not choosing life or death here. The death is certain. There's no way. 0% chance. Everybody said it. Like, there's no way she's getting out of this more than 3 months at the absolute max, and probably 3 weeks would be too optimistic. And so it wasn't really a life or death, it was a how. Like, how do you want this process to go down and happen, and try to think about what she wants. And that's another challenging thing for me also, is I can't ask her. Like, a person can have a living will and testament, or they can tell you, like, pull the plug or not in certain situations, that type of stuff. You can get a sense of who they are, and they can tell you about their interiority. They can tell you how they're feeling, right? Like, I'm in this amount of pain, or this and that. And one of my wife's vet friends was talking to me too, and she made a great point that cats and a lot of animals, they can't really abstract. They don't see into the future. And so even, like a human, you could think, okay, I'm willing to deal with this pain now at the prospect of, and try to be optimistic at the prospect of something positive. So if I'm like, suffering a lot medically, and I'm thinking, okay, I get to see my family tomorrow, like, I can persevere and make it because I've got this goal, this future goal in mind. And that helps me sort of make it through difficult times, right? But she explained animals don't really have that. All they have is right now. Like, they don't know if there's going to be, a 5 minutes from now. They have no clue. Everything could just disappear, right? At any moment. Like, they're always living in the now. And so with that, even that sort of justification of, okay, maybe there's a magic moment, right? Like, maybe 1 hour, a day, or 2 hours a day would still be generous, but we could lay her outside with us, by the pool, and she could just relax and feel the breeze and, watch us. And I just kind of almost had this romantic vision. And I'm like, she's never going to have that if we stop it early. But then you got to think, okay, well, what's going on the other 22 hours, right? And, studying and talking to vets and just everything that was going on with her, absolutely just living hell. It would have been so bad. And just seeing her at the end, there was no way. Like I said, she could barely lift her head, and she recognized us at first, but I'm not even sure near the end, like 10 minutes later, if she was still there. It looked like she was just, 1,000-yard gaze. Like, so, anyways, I don't remember where all I was going with that, but I learned a lot kind of about the, grieving process and making these kinds of difficult end-of-life decisions, I think, through this. And, I think we did the absolute best we can. And it, obviously it still makes me sad, but I have the closure that, I think we made the right choice. And I never had to make that choice before. Again, all my past pets, they just died, right? Like it was just some kind of accident, or they ran away when I was younger, and things like that. And it was like, well, that happened. That's how it is, right? But this one, it was like, she's alive, in quotes. Um, but really, would it be worth it to zombify her, basically? And that's kind of what it was going to be. It's like technical life, but is it life kind of thing? Like, we could zombify her and maybe draw this out. Um, the way she looked today, man, maybe a day or two or something. It was, but is that really living? And again, it's so difficult for me to come to that realization, and that's why I haven't been on this week. Is just really bad mental health, and like I said, tonight I think I'll be maybe composed enough, but because I'm usually pretty good unless I'm sitting here like actively talking about it right now, but um, anyways, let's go through. I'm not going to do a bunch of this again, but I just want to flip through some pictures if you care, and you can kind of see kind of her life. We don't have, again, a lot uploaded from the last like 6 years or so. So we had some from today, and I know we have some from the last 6 years. I just don't know if we've uploaded them to Facebook, which is where usually our photos are. But we can see, the first 11 years of her life here, and 17 is a very old cat too. Like, again, she had a wonderful life, especially because she was a stray on the streets, scheduled to be euthanized at a pound, and then Sandra rescued her. I mean, it's such a wonderful story. So this is 2006, where we're starting. This is little Sadie. This is one of the oldest pictures. Sandra said that this is before Sandra met me. I met Sandra in 2008. We've basically been together since 2008, so we've been together for 15 years. But, yeah, this is, she put that little animal under her to sleep with, and she kept it there, which was nice. It's just kind of silly, looking like she's drinking out of a water bottle. My wife says she used to really love to climb into these drawers, and, she'd climb out the back if you pulled the drawer out, so she'd get caught kind of in that in-between. And it was kind of tricky to get her out of there. You'd have to pull the drawers out. So just kind of a silly thing a kid can get into. Sandra put a little tie on her here. Kind of matched the glow of her eyes with the photo. Just action shot, ready to pounce. Full of energy. That big kitten energy there. Carrying a little wrapper. So she really loved like twisty ties and just little things that you could like move on the ground, and she thought, they're like a little bug or something. She was very playful for most of her life, really up until maybe the last little bit. She used to play fetch with these jacks. Now she only did that for a little while. I didn't know Sandra when she did that a lot. I got her to do it some when I met her. This is just a really like a kitten phase kind of thing, but it was very cute the few times I saw it in person. She'd bring it back and let you throw it again. And then this was just kind of her going up the stairs. Sandra said she looked like she was at a bar ordering a martini or something there. That was kind of cute. There's partially Sandra holding her. And she used to sleep on Sandra's neck. We don't have a picture of that, but it was like very small, and she'd sleep almost like a scarf on Sandra's neck to kind of feel that warmth. And she was always so affectionate. She would come up and just sit on your lap, and there's some pictures of that later. She was always trying to be close to us, right? And we don't have any pictures of it, but anecdotally, whenever I've been sick or something, on the floor, it's disgusting, dealing with some stomach virus or something, she would always come up and do her best to kind of nuzzle up, because she could sense I wasn't feeling good. And even, maybe a little graphic, but even when I was, up until the very last, day before she had to be hospitalized, I'm pretty sure, every time I went to the bathroom for number 2, she would come up and stand guard. Now, I don't know what she was thinking, but she would literally come up and just sit down next to me and just like watch the door, just in case somebody's attacking me during that vulnerable time, or just in case I need some moral support. While that's going on, I don't really know what her thought process was, but I've never seen another cat do that, and it was just really affectionate. And at the end, man, she was kind of hobbling over there, already sort of out of it. Um, and she would still do it. She would wake up from wherever, if she heard me, she just like sensed it, and she was like, "Oh, I see her asleep on the couch." Then I'd hear her coming from the other room if I lifted the toilet seat up or whatever. Um, she'd stop. She'd stop eating if she was eating. She'd come over there. She'd drop everything she was doing to come over there and guard me while I was taking care of business. So that's the level of commitment she had to be in there for me. Which is, it's just remarkable, I think. And she truly was a special cat. And this is just her in a mirror, her on an old couch Sandra had. She really liked, there'll be more pictures here of laying on her back all the time. And there might be some cat, I'm sure a lot of other cats do some of these things. But she really liked laying on her back and sleeping, especially when she got like super obese for a while there. And it was very cute. She'd just kind of fall asleep even with her legs up in the air. I didn't know how that would be comfortable, but she really loved doing it. And of course, we'd go up and try to rub her belly if she did that. She didn't really care for that much. She would tolerate it, but she'd be like, try to get us for doing that to her. But you couldn't help it. You just gotta, she's doing that. You gotta tickle her every now and then. Maybe once a month or something. This looks like her almost saying hi. She got into some like really high stacked washer dryer in this closet. It's her looking at something coming off that closet. It's her kind of early days laying on her back, sort of, with a slide tent. Again, with the jacks going for it. It's looking cute laying down there. Sandra's old car. There's Sandra from 2007, before I met her. In a box. She likes to sleep in a box. I mean, probably all cats do that, but, just anything she could get into. It was like just a tight space or whatever. Sandra again. Sandra with the cat. And oddly enough, she really liked just a little bit of water in bathtubs as a cat. Like if there's just like maybe a half inch of water, she'd lay down in it. Which is really weird, I think, for a lot of cats. Most cats hate water, and she did to some extent. She did not like too much water. But just a little bit. For some reason, she kind of liked it. It was sort of quirky. Okay, there's her, where she's kind of splayed out. You'll see more pictures like that. But she would just go to sleep like that a lot of the time. And you can see she's starting to put on the weight now in 2008. This is an iconic one. This is one of my favorite ones. And this is where I just started dating Sandra. We were trying to get this Christmas picture, and we wanted to get Sadie in there, and she wasn't having any of it. And so I just like the contrast here, where Sadie's just looking so pissed. And Sandra is looking cheerful, but Sadie was tolerating it. She didn't bite or scratch. She was just, would let us, you could tell from her face, I've had enough of your nonsense with these pictures, but I'll go along with it because I love you, that kind of thing. So I thought that was really sweet. And here was an earlier shot, I think, because, of course we tried to get this same shot 5 or 6 times, so that was part of what was frustrating for her. But yeah, just look how big she is, man. It looks like her head is almost the size of Sandra's head. She was like 14 or 15 pounds at one point. Near the end of her life, she was like 4. She'd lost like 80% of her body weight. But she used to be really huge. There's an old picture of me. Can't see a lot there. Just kind of sitting there looking at her. There's her like wearing a hat, quote unquote. This is a silly one, obviously. She would do this thing where, if you breathed on her, if you just like breathed like right in her face, like, she'd like sniff it, and then she'd like lick her lips or something. It was just this really weird where she just kind of, I don't know. She would like come up to you, like right there. I'm kind of doing it, sticking my tongue out, and she'll like raise up and try to get in there and sniff it. She's like, "Yeah, I'm just making sure you're not diseased or something." I don't know. But again, that was just kind of weird and quirky. You wouldn't do that all the time, but there was another thing, especially when she was younger. We don't have pictures of, but where I do like a wind noise, like, and she'd like look around and she'd just make this little noise like, and I never figured out what that is. Like if she didn't like it or she did kind of like it and she was talking back. I wish we had a video of it. It was very cute, but we had a bunch of these old quirky, just weird, inside jokes basically between us. Um, and that was nice. You just get a nice look. She used to have this very shiny coat. Very beautiful cat, I think. There's her on her back again. It's her one of her first times in the snow when we were in Ohio. This is pretty early when we moved to Ohio in 2013 while I was working on my PhD. So that's one of her first times getting out in the snow. It's kind of curled up in some blankets there. This is me, doing some grad work. It's probably watching some League of Legends videos or YouTube or something. But that's her, where she just kind of sit on top of me. Her just hanging out above a toilet. Her just kind of sneering. I don't really remember the story behind that. It was kind of a funny expression. I think this was the very first time we put her out in the snow. You can tell she's kind of terrified. She's like, ah! Like she was wanting to go out. She's like, meowing, meow, let me out, let me out. And then I carried her, and I was going to put her down, but, she just had that look, like, do not put me down. So she just got, I just put her feet down in it, and then brought her back in. And that's both of us, just kind of there. I don't remember if I was asleep exactly here. I may have been, and Sandra took this. But yeah, she'd just come up and either sleep on you or sleep right next to you and face you. Like, no cat that I've ever had was, that affectionate before. I loved my previous cats, but she's like next level companion energy, and that's me, looking at her. It's her on her back again, sort of side back. You could even carry her like that, carry her on her back. Most cats hated that, right? But she'd let you do that for a while, just kind of this baby hold, which is cute. That almost looks like she's standing up, just like from the perspective there, but it's just her on her back. That's me, definitely passed out, and her passed out on me, reading Judith Butler's The Precarious Life, which, oh my god, I hated that book. I know it's really impactful. I know no one watching this probably knows who that is, but considered a really serious academic book, and it was important to a lot of people. I was trying to read it. I think I fell asleep on page 5. So she was helping me read it there. We both had the same sentiment about it. There's her in a box, kind of looking up. She wanted to go out in the snow again. She went out and sniffed it, and immediately was like, let me back in, now. I want the warm house. So we let her back in. This was her contemplating how to help Sandra build something. Kind of out in the snow. I think we're almost at the end here. Just looking outside, peeping through some bags. Of course, like a lot of cats love to hide and stuff. Wanted so badly to sit on Sandra, and Sandra had to work on something for some certificate she was trying to get, I think. So Sadie actually just allowed the laptop on top of her, at least partially. Like, a lot of the weight was on Sandra, but it was a little on Sadie. And you can tell she's not super thrilled with it, but she was hard committed to the snuggle on that one. Another one of her helping me study. Me mostly being... I think this was when I was studying for... That's John Stuart Mill's. I don't remember exactly what the text was, but this is when I was studying for my PhD exams. And I was just kind of burned out. She was in there, and she was like grabbing at the pen. It was really funny. If we had an action shot of it, it was almost like she was trying to write some more notes for me. So that was funny. And I was taking a little break, probably watching some YouTube video. This is Sandra. Her sleeping on Sandra. Her kind of passed out. That's our bed in the corner, so I was like right next to her. Again, she'd sleep on the bed near our head, like just all the time, just wanting to be close to us. This is her with a cyborg eye. I don't remember the context, but just the way that flashed. We said Sadie, and she like peeked out, to see what was going on, and then it was just, we got this crazy looking eye out of it that I thought was funny. Sneaking in, love to sleep on those freshly cleaned towels. You had to always close the hamper because she would definitely get in there and sleep on those towels, and you would have a very hairy towel. And that's us just kind of sleeping again. I just love her face here. Like, she's kind of turned sideways a little bit. You could tell, I think this was maybe getting close to when she started having the hyperthyroidism 6 or 7 years ago. You can tell she's a little thinner than her maxed out weight. She's losing a little weight there. Of course, I don't know. That one looks pretty big. Maybe it's just the angle there. Again, it's kind of big, hanging out. I just really like her eyes are just kind of just really wide for some reason there. That was kind of cute. And then this one, You know, I got the magic cards strewn all over. That's when I was like playing a little bit again. Um, and then I think I was trying to play some league or something. I don't remember. And I was trying to like get her to get down, and she like did not want to get down. She's looking at me like, "Boy, don't you even try to put me down." It was kind of hard to play if she was on your lap, especially when she weighed this much. Like, she'd make your leg go to sleep because she weighed so much. And so she'd dig her claws in your leg. Yeah. So I did let her sit there a lot of the time if she was there, but there were sometimes, especially in those days, if I got a little frustrated, I'd want her to get down. It was just, and I kind of feel bad. I'm like, man, I should have just let her stay, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just can't be perfect all the time, right? You just can't have perfect relationships. There's always things you look back on, you're like, well, I didn't have to say that, or I could have done that a little bit better, you know? But I would say like 99% of the time, we just had a perfect relationship, and anything that was like that 1%, it was me. Just being human, just, you know, just not cuddling with her when I should that one time because I was frustrated or trying to focus on something else or whatever. But I think overall, it's just overwhelmingly, I think she had an amazing life, and I shared most of that with her, except for the first, again, couple years Sandra had her without me. This is where I was just coming home from teaching, and you know, I kind of had her on her back, and I was kind of rubbing her chest a little bit. She wasn't too thrilled with it, but she was tolerating it. Again, she'd let you get away with quite a few things. Her just kind of laying there. And this is the last one. This is Sandra, when she was pregnant with our daughter, our first daughter, Rory, and you can't really see much of her there as far as her belly. But then she's kind of holding the cat here like a baby. And I said, what if you give birth to a baby that size? She was like 14 pounds or so. So yeah, this is probably right before or right around the hyperthyroidism diagnosis when she's still close to her max weight. But yeah, it's pretty funny. She's like, I better not give birth to a baby that big. But yeah, it was funny. She's huge. The cat, not Sandra. Sandra's beautiful and the right size at all times. But anyways, okay. Well, that's it. You know, I just wanted to catch you guys up to speed, and you know, for the handful of regulars that have been here for a long time, and they're just cat lovers in general, or if you just wanted to see some old, you know, vintage pictures of me and my wife, or just kind of my thoughts on grief. I know a lot of people have to deal with grief constantly, or not constantly, but they are going to face those moments, and I learned a lot, you know, from the process, and it was very painful. Like I said, some of the worst mental health I've maybe ever had, ever, in the last 4 days. And the only thing that even comes close was when my granddad died, when I was like 10. He was such a central figure in my life, but I just did not have the same level of interiority that I have now, and I didn't have the responsibility. That was the biggest thing, is like, you know, the euthanasia, like, taking time away, even if it's just seconds. When you do that, you're taking time away, and just coming to terms with that, like having to rethink that more time is not always good time. And again, it runs so contrary to how I think, my reasoning, and really to what I think I would want most of the time. Again, maybe that'll change if I get older, you know, hopefully when I get older and I face some health adversities, maybe that'll change, right? But, you know, I just think that I would want, you know, I would be willing to endure quite a lot just for, you know, one or two more magical moments with my kids, you know, at the end of life. And again, that was the biggest challenge for me, is to try to move past my own perspective and try my best to think of Sadie's perspective and what's best for her and what would she want if she could do that kind of reasoning, if she could communicate. And again, she's a cat, so it's hard to know exactly what she's thinking, what her perception is of pain, or what's worth, what's not worth. You know, and I know there are some people, also quite a few people, who have a different stance than me. They're like, if I ever start deteriorating, just, I'm done, right? Like, if I lose 80% of my functionality or faculties, just, you know, just cut me off, I'm done, story's over, right? So I know there are quite a few people like that. I had some family members like that. They were just like, hey, you know, always pulled the plug on me. Or, you know, I remember my Uncle Harold that I really loved. You know, he told me that someone once asked me, if you could go back and do it all over again, your life or whatever, would you do it, right? If you could just turn back the clock and, 60 years. And he was just like, hell no. He's like, I'm tired. He's like, I did it once. He's like, when I'm done, I'm done. And so, again, that was something that I definitely learned that Sadie taught me here, indirectly with this ordeal in order to try to give her the best that I could, and I think I did. I dropped quite a lot of money. I won't say how much, but quite a lot, trying to help her at the end. I got, all the diagnostics, and it was a low chance, and we tried a couple of things, and I was like, you know what, if I could just get her legs back, or her ability to control her bladder and colon, which was totally gone at the end, if I could just get her some of that back for like an okay quality of life, then I'll hospice it, right? If they can fix her a little bit, if they can get her from 1% to like, 20% Sadie, I'll let the 20% ride it out. But the 1% was that I just don't think Sadie would want that, And again, I won't iterate all the things that were wrong with her. I'll just say she had extremely limited capacities, and you could just tell by looking at her eyes and just being around her that she was tired and she just wanted to rest. So okay, I'm gonna hold it together. Okay, at least until the end of this. So anyways, thank y'all so much, especially those of you that stuck through to the end here. I know it's hard, and it's a real challenge for me to reach out and ask for help when it is something negative, and I did several of my close friends because I needed different perspectives, because it was so hard for me, again, to get there emotionally, to make that decision. Like, it was extremely difficult for me, and I had some really good friends and family members that listened to all my philosophizing and emotional stuff and just kind of worked with me, with these negative times. And it's, I'm very thankful that I have friends and family that, are willing to help me, that could offer such good insights. And each one of them had dealt with a similar experience, right? Where they had to make difficult decisions with a pet or family member. And they all had, a slightly different reasoning and rationale behind what they were doing, but every single one of them, when I told them all of her symptoms, how she'd been acting, everything else, and what I should do, every single one of them said it was time for her to rest, like, for sure. So I think it was right. Like, it's still hard for me to process it, but I think at this point it's more of like, I just miss her, I just wish I could have her back. Obviously, that's kind of what everybody thinks. But I think that's a very different question than, did I make the right choice? Because I think I'm there. I finally got there. I made the right choice. Like, there's no question I made the right choice. And so that box is checked, and that was the hardest box, again, for me. And this whole, like, wanting her back, difficult, I can get through that. I can work through that, over time. So I've had to do that before with other pets and with family members, and just kind of trying to hold on to the past. But at least I don't feel bad about it. Like, I have, no regrets. We did the best we could, and I can say that, with full confidence, at least from my perspective. Maybe some of you, again, I'm not sharing all the details with you, but if I did, I feel like a lot of people, except for the most hardcore of hardcore, like, never euthanize, always hospice people. But again, no amount of money was even gonna improve her situation very much. Definitely not save her, but I feel like no amount of money was ever gonna get her past 5% tops of life. So 95%, like, absolutely agonizingly terrible quality of life, maybe 5% like, okay, right? Like, nothing was going to do it. So, anyways, so I made a lot of progress on that front, and I think, it's just going to take a little time, but I can work through the missing her and, just remembering and being grateful for the time that we had together. I can get to there. I can get to that point. As long as I don't have the responsibility constantly haunting me that did I make the right choice or not, now that that's off the table, I think my mental health is, it's risen quite a bit. So I'm still going to have some intermittent, like, missing her, and, it's still going to be on my mind. But I think that I can be in a better mental space knowing that I made the right choice, and I did what was best for her. And there's just nothing else I can do. That's it. Again, there's nothing. Like I say, and I constantly tell myself that that's just a fact. And that's hard for me to deal with too, because I'm so used to working with narratives. Like, oh, if there's some combination of words you say, you can, convince people or persuade people or motivate people, inspire people. Like, words and narratives are so powerful. It's my whole job to study those and help people really understand the power of language, right? Money is also very powerful, right? There's a lot of technologies out there and a lot of other things, and I did spend a lot of money on her to try to fix her, and could I have spent more? Maybe, but again, no amount of money and no amount of words do anything about this. It's just, she was 17. There were, like I said, about 6 terminal things that were like at the very end of the line, and even if you fixed one of them, it would make another one worse. Like, for instance, if you fixed the thyroid thing that she had, it was going to make her kidneys worse, they said, and her kidneys were already at like 1%. And that's, I can deal with that. I can say, hey, that's just a fact. That's all. That's it. So, anyways, okay, well, that's long-winded, but thank you very much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the slideshow. I know it was negative. If you guys are ever, struggling with things like this, hopefully, just talking about some of my grieving process. I guess my grieving process in League would be a little bit different. Don't do it, right? But grieving, you have to do it, right? There's no way. If you're compassionate, if you really love somebody, I feel like there's just no way that you don't go through a process of grief, and everybody's going to do it a little differently. But if you ever have to face this situation, or a family member or whatever, hopefully I provided some insights that could help you out. And if you're struggling like I was with doing some of these things, I mean, obviously, definitely talk to a healthcare professional if you want, but you're always welcome during stream if you want to bring it up, and I'll do my best to just relate some experiences that I've had, and maybe they can give you some perspective. And I know we have a lot of really wonderful regulars as well that I'm sure have dealt with this stuff, and that was really a major thing that I leveled up in this too, is just understanding that yes, I do have a lot of mental strength. Yes, I think I am very emotionally strong a lot of times, but nobody's perfect. And I don't even think it's wrong to, feel those kinds of emotions. That's a good thing, right? That's a byproduct of being a very compassionate, loving person. Like, I wouldn't feel that if I didn't really love this cat and try to do everything that I could. And I think if you really love somebody and do everything you can, it is extremely difficult not to feel bad, or like to not have a really hard time figuring out the right decision to make between euthanasia and hospice, and just letting go in general, I feel is very, very challenging. So I really learned that, it's good to have other perspectives. It's good to have help, to lean on your friends, right? To lean on your family, and really just listen and see what you can learn, from what other people have said and how they work, and just see, if you can enhance your perspective about it. And that really helped me out, at least. So anyways, that's it. I intended this to be a really short video. I didn't want to go too far into it. And again, hopefully it wasn't too much of a bummer. I think I held it together okay during this. If this would have been a couple of days ago, there's no way I could record the video, and that's why I didn't. Right, I just was not in a mental state to tell you guys, because I would just, it'd be 90%, tears, or me just not being able to speak, and this was maybe 10% of that, 5%, something like that. So hopefully I didn't make you guys too uncomfortable, but and maybe this was TMI or too personal, but again, this isn't for everybody. This is, for, I think, the 10 regulars out there. There's probably a lot more than 10, but the handful of really close regulars that may have wondered where I was, and that really did kind of love Sadie and just her few cameos she made on the stream. If you know a stream where we had her on and we were doing something really cute, there may have been a Christmas stream or something where we put a little like Santa hat on her and went on this. I can't remember if there were. I'll go back and look. But if you guys can remember a date, or at least like around this time in fall of 2019, you did something cute with Sadie involving this and that, I could see if I could go through and get a couple of highlights from the stream with her. I don't think we did a ton. Like, maybe I held her up and showed her to the stream a couple of times, but I don't think we did like cosplay with her or anything. But if there was a particularly memorable or fun, time about Sadie that you can recall, then just let me know in the comments, or just email it to me, and I would really love that. We're putting together a scrapbook of her, a celebration of life with some of these pictures and some other ones we can find, and it's gonna be good. Again, I'm getting to the point where it's gonna be a positive thing, and just appreciating the time that we had together. So now that I made the right choice, obviously it's still a fresh experience. It just happened today, but I can feel like we're moving in the right direction. So anyways, thank y'all very much. I really look forward to getting back on the stream with you guys, and just having some of the wonderful conversations. And I truly just appreciate you guys for hanging out with me, especially old school over the years. We've just always had such wonderful conversations, and shared some great times, and I look forward to getting back to some of that with you guys. So anyways, thanks, have a great day, and I'll see you soon.